Here we go. We are doing day number 8. Yesterday it was passport. I draw a globe in the hand, passport to travel the world. Globe in my hand now, passport, gateway to the world, adventure awaits. All right. The sketch is such that I am going to keep it very simple. I found a reference on Pexel, and of course, this is a simple one. Because the topic is hiking or hike. So I found this reference where I think there are three of them. Can't quite see whether there are 3 or 4 in total, but it doesn't matter because the figures are very small. I'll just draw some blobs for those figures in the distance. Um, I wanted to do a very simple sketch, a bit of green background, and also just make sure that I have the figures down pat. Okay, this is where I added some bag or some extra, I'm not sure. Um, and yeah, and have some mimic of the mountains in the background and in the foreground, some probably texturing, throw in some colors just for fun, and I think that'll be it. Simple drawing today. So I intend this sketch today to have a bit of green. And when you use green, just remember not to use a single bit green. Throw in a bit of brown, throw in a bit of blue. Don't throw in together, right? I mean, what I mean is that if you use a base green, like for example, gold, green gold, which is what I'm using, I would throw in a bit of brown, like quinacridone gold, to make it warm, because queen gold is essentially brown. So by throwing in a bit of brown to your green, you're basically warming it up. You can also throw in a bit of darker colors. Like in this case, I'll have queen burnt orange, which has been tinted with carboxyl violet, and that helps in giving the brown a darker tone. So I allow some hard edges, as you could see, which means that there will be some paper white. I drop in wet on wet, splatter, to mimic grass and mud and whatnot. Trying to do a bit of a dry stroke, but yeah, and then dilute down the same mix for the distant mountain. Um, and for the sky, add in a little bit more blue, making sure that I'm not mixing the two shapes, so there's a bit of gap. It's a sketch, so I'm not going to be very precise, but that's okay. Throw in a bit more purple via carboxyl violet, let it, go around, and drizzle and splatter a bit of orange, which is uh, basically cadmium orange. And then I'm ready to put in the figures. And basically the contrast is gonna be what makes it work. The contrast of dark. So I'll have the figures in a bit of blue and a bit of red, maybe a bit of orange. The way I like to think of colors when I'm sketching is that when I'm using colors, I'm always conscious of the complementary or the opposites. So when I'm doing a bit of blue, I'm thinking, okay, do I get a bit of a similar blue around the adjacent shapes, or do I throw in an opposites? It's kind of like a one simple way of trying to use color in a more creative way. So if you put a bit of blue, think whether you want to throw in a bit of orange. And because the background, which is brown, orange, right? Dirty orange is brown. You then, will feel that you actually have a complementary spot adjacent to each other. So as you can see, I'm just playing, I'm just putting texture, I'm just doodling, and I'm just throwing in paint down there. And if I observe there's some kind of hard edges that I don't really like, I soften it. It's easier to soften, sorry, it's harder to soften, because once it's hardened, the edges can be sticky and not very hard, not very easy for you to remove the hard edge. Hard edge can be a problem in that sense. Um, so, you just want to observe and edit it as you go, if you like. The values of the sketch itself is very important to me. Very soft shadows. I think I might just add one part of the mountain to be a bit more shadowy. I kind of decided that the right is where the shadow is. In other words, the light is coming from the left. So yeah, no fuss. Basically texturing to make sure the mud looks like mud, or rather the soil looks like soil. A bit of shadow, to differentiate the left from the right. And since I'm on that light direction, I also make sure the figure has the same light direction. In other words, a bit of shadow on the left, and trying to leave the parts on the right a little bit more lit up, and to separate the shape, if you like. Okay, so that's about it. There's not much to the sketch other than they are all brown and green. Not quite the complementary colors of yellow purple that I normally used, but it's kind of a simple sketch, and it kind of worked. The color scheme green and brown is very normal. It's very natural. No pun intended. Well, nature is green and brown, right? I mean, you think about trees, green on top and brown on bottom. So those two colors will go well any case. Right? So that's it. That's it all for this week. Smashing out the videos as much as I'm smashing out the sketches. I hope you are doing the same with your Inktober. Don't get too fuzzy. Don't get too, uh, stressed. It's for fun. So stay safe wherever you are. This is We Take Out for today.